128 constitutional amendment bill, which basically reserves 33% of seats.
Why is this constitutional amendment necessary?
Because of patriarchal societies, because of whatever, they simply did not even go to the polling booth to cast their vote. In the panchayat at the village level, they were reserved for women. Women played a very, very significant role. 5% of Lok Sabha includes women. By 2024, it has improved to 15%.
When the nation calls, knowledge answers. Welcome to Chai with Karan, your one-stop destination for civil services strategy, current affairs, and mentorship that matters. Today, we bring you insights from someone whose pen has shaped public opinion for decades. His mentorship has mentored hundreds of UPSC aspirants. It's wonderful to introduce Mr. Sutanu Guru, a veteran journalist, author, and a teacher with over 40 years of experience in institutions like the Times of India, the Economic Times, and the India Today Group. Currently serving as the Executive Director at Sea Water Foundation. Mr. Guru's sharp analysis is regularly featured on top media platforms. So let's dive into this exclusive session where we decode the changing dynamics of India.
Thank you so much, Rupali. Wonderful to have you. And young friends, the name itself says Chai with Current, bringing current affairs, and the tagline below says Cracking the BS Challenge. So you all are aware what we intend to do. But we are not an organized coaching center, and we will not be an organized firm. What we are is what is called as a force multiplier. We will help you prepare better for the general studies main papers for all civil services exams all across the country. And for that, we will through these videos and background text materials give you historical context and historical perspective into every major news and current affairs development, issue and controversy, because that is the only way you will make fresh insights and be able to prepare better for your general studies next paper. Now, what do I mean when I say historical perspective? मेरे ख्याल से आप लोग जितने भी इंक्लूडिंग यू सिविल सर्विसेज वगैरह की तैयारियां कर रहे हैं, लगभग आप सब लोग इसी कड़ी में पैदा हुए हैं, born in the 21st century. तो आप अपने पेरेंट्स के पास जाइए, एल्डर्स के पास जाइए and ask them the following question: when you were born, were your parents using smartphones? When you were born, were your parents enjoying high-speed internet? When you were born, were your parents making digital payments and transactions? When you were born, were your parents watching music videos and shows on YouTube? And when you were born, were your parents spending hours every day on various social media platforms? The answer is no, young friends. So just imagine in just about 25 years or less how dramatically India and the world has changed. So when I say historical perspective, that is what I mean. Every news that is happening today, every current affairs development, every issue, every controversy, it has a historical background, a historical context, and which is why it is relevant today. So when you grasp that, fresh insight, it will help you enormously in preparing for the general studies next paper. And young friends, do remember being better informed, no matter what career you eventually adopt, always increases the chances of success in your career and your life.
Welcome to this episode of Chai with Karan. Today, we are going to discuss about the gender equality and the women representation in politics. Sir, almost every year in the GS paper, there is a question that actually based on gender justice and women participation in politics. So now there are 33% seats which are reserved for women. What does that mean?
So let's clarify the facts first. We'll get into the historical perspective after that. What is the fact? The fact is that in 2023, the Parliament of India passed the 128 constitutional amendment bill, which basically reserves 33% of seats in Lok Sabha and all state assemblies for women. So that is the fact. And this uh, was the fourth attempt to give reservations to women in representative bodies like Lok Sabha and Assembly. One attempt was made in 1996, failed. One attempt was made again in 1998, failed. Another attempt was made in 2008, it failed. But finally in 2023 it has happened. And how it will happen also is not as if कि अभी चुनाव होंगे तो असेंबली चुनाव जैसे बिहार में अब ये आने वाले हैं कि 33% सीट का रिजर्व. No, it will be decided after the 2021 census. So already लगभग 5 साल डिले हो चुका है. After the census report comes in, then there will be a delimitation exercise, and then there will be a final decision of who and how, what kind of seats will be reserved for women. That is the fact.
Well, sir, why is this constitutional amendment necessary?
Well, it's quite ironical, Dipali, because some people in the Western world, think that India is a deeply patriarchal society. It is true also. There is no doubt that India is a deeply patriarchal and conservative society. But India is also unique in the sense that since ancient Indian times, women have been given a lot of respect. Women have participated in affairs of the state, of religious discourse, of everything. We have actual texts where female sadhus have debated with male sadhus and have won those debates. And even during our independence struggle, even during many liberation struggles, women have played a very significant role. There is no doubt about that. And if you look at contemporary India, there is hardly a field. Sport, law, medicine, engineering, management, academics, anywhere you look at, women have not just equal, they have often excelled men. But somehow, because of the patriarchal, mode of Indian society, women have not been selected by political parties as candidates for election. There have been various reasons. Till let's say the late 80s or so, women in large parts of India were confined to their homes, and they were in kind of in a role where they had to listen to what the main patriarch said, whether it was the husband or the father-in-law or someone. And besides that, there was a feeling that politics is a very dirty business, and that females should not get involved in that kind of business. So, despite women excelling in every other field, in Indian politics, their representation in Lok Sabha and Assembly has been quite pathetic. 1952, you will see a chart on the screen. 1952 says 2024 तक दिखा रहा है how many elected women MPs in Lok Sabha. So to one extent you can say there is an improvement, because in 1952 5% of Lok Sabha MPs were women. By 2024 it has improved to 15%. But it's still very bad in assemblies because it is less than 10%. But even that 15% is very low if you compare with other countries, because in many other countries in Europe, Africa, Asia and Latin America, the percentage of women in the parliament or assemblies is more than 40 to or even 50%. So that was also a kind of paradox in India. Women are being empowered, but they were not exactly doing that well in terms of being elected as MPs and MLAs to be able to take real decisions as lawmakers.
Well, sir, what about the women's role in the grassroots level?
Now that has changed a lot, Bhupali, because we did fail to political parties. They failed to nominate or select candidates, women candidates for assembly and Lok Sabha elections. But what happened was that since the late 80s, there was a series of laws passed by some states, some central laws also, whereby a fixed proportion of seats in the panchayat at the village level, they were reserved for women. So only a woman could become a sarpanch, or only and had to be a minimum of these many members had to be members of the panchayat. So initially, a lot of people laughed at it because what was happening in the early days of this process was that the male members were the dominant ones. So they used to just tell their wives to aap chunav lado. So the wife would become the sarpanch, but the real decisions would be taken by the husband. I think आपने ये सीरीज देखा भी होगा, वेब सीरीज पंचायत, जिसमें नीना गुप्ता is the sarpanch, but really the pradhan is the husband. So, but despite all that, gradually what happened was that the women at the grassroots level gradually started getting empowered, and they started using that power for the benefit of society. It's not as if women are not corrupt. Human beings are corrupt, whether male or female. But women also have a unique perspective and understanding of social needs, family needs, sanitation needs, health needs, education needs, which often males do not. So at the rural grassroots level, particularly over the last 20-25 years, the presence of female sarpanches, female panchayat members in actual decision making roles, that has led to a grassroots transformation of Indian society when we talk about politics.
Well, sir, are there any other trends that show growing of empowerment of women?
Oh yes, definitely, Rupali. And the most significant trend is participation of women in elections. Now we have already discussed that there are not many candidates who are women. A, B, there are not many women who get elected as MPs and MLAs. But there are really significant and dramatic and very very good change is the rise in the participation, both in terms of numbers and in terms of quality of women in Indian elections. Okay. Now data is not available for 1962 and 67 Lok Sabha elections. 1962 के चुनाव के बाद से हमारे पास इलेक्शन कमीशन का डेटा अवेलेबल है, which shows the percentage of female voters voting in Lok Sabha elections and the percentage of male voters. So 1962 elections में लगभग anywhere between 15 to 20% का gap था. So if the male voting percentage was let's say 60%, the female voting percentage was 42%, which means that a lot of women simply because of patriarchal societies, because of whatever, they simply did not even go to the polling booth to cast their vote. So their participation in politics in that way was very minimal compared to men. But somehow, again in the 21st century, that started changing, and the astonishing thing is that nowadays in almost all assembly and Lok Sabha elections, the female voting percentage is higher than that of male. Okay, and that's a huge change. But even more important than that is the quality of decision making when it comes to voting in elections. So traditionally, women were told by the patriarch father, father-in-law, husband, elder brother, जेठ, whatever, कि आपको बूथ में अगर जाना है तो इसके लिए वोट देना है. And women would more or less blindly follow the diktats of the family patriarch. But what has changed in the 21st century is that because of higher literacy, because of female empowerment, because of more material success, females have become independent. They are no longer willing to accept the diktats of their patriarch, and they are voting as per their own free will. So if the family patriarch is the X party के candidate को आप जाके वोट दो, they might nod their head, but in the voting booth they will actually vote for the other party because she thinks the other party is better, and that's again a massive change. And if you recall and understand, आपको क्या लगता है कि आज के जमाने में whether you go to कर्नाटका, मध्य प्रदेश, महाराष्ट्र, हरियाणा, दिल्ली, उड़ीसा, everywhere political parties have realized that women are now an independent block of voters. They no longer follow their husbands or brothers or fathers, etc. Which is why you have this Ladli Behna scheme in Madhya Pradesh, you have this Ladki Behan scheme in Maharashtra, you have this Sumatra scheme in Odisha, you have free bicycles for the girl child, you have free bus and metro rides in Karnataka and Telangana. So females are being wooed directly by the political parties, and that is a huge change because finally political parties are realizing that merely by appealing to the old feudal patriarchal order, they cannot win elections. They have to convince the female voters that if you vote for me, you, your family, your neighborhood, your town, and overall the country will be in a better place. And that is one of the most significant changes. And of course, I think this 33% reservation for females will possibly come into effect maybe in the 2034 Lok Sabha election. Possibly. And then you will see a dramatic change. But already at the grassroots and at the quality of the community, the change has happened.
Well, thank you so much for this valuable input. So stay tuned with this episode of Chai with Karan. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.
Thank you, Rupali. And I will repeat again, the better informed you are, the higher the chances of success in your career and your life. Thank you.